I know you loved your boy. But I wish you understood what
Welcome to another exciting episode from Marvelous Videos. I'm your host, Tia Ayer. Monstrous villains who appeared in the Stargirl television series. DC Stargirl follows the story of Courtney Whitmore, who after finding the cosmic staff of Starman, takes upon the moniker of Stargirl. She forms the Justice Society of America with a group of young superheroes. The older JSA had fought the Injustice Society of America in 2010, but their victory resulted in the ISA's official disbandment. However, the town of Blue Valley is unsafe, as the ISA is operating behind the scenes, which they plan to alter the minds of the masses under the guise of helping the greater good. The heroes also had to fight a much greater threat in the second season of the show. In today's video, we will list some of the incredible villains who appeared in the show and left their marks. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Eclipso. Before we hop onto Eclipso's story, let's get down to Diablo Island. It was a place from which visitors never returned, and so its notorious reputation led to the islands gradually being forgotten. It was believed that among the two warring tribes residing in that island, one had summoned an entity of evil and vengeance. That is Eclipso, to win against its enemies. The entity was later sealed within the Black Diamond.
I see you in there, Eclipso.
The island was later rediscovered by Bruce Gordon, who appears in Stargirl as a minor character. But by the time of his arrival, the tribesfolk were no more. He got his hands on the mysterious Black Diamond and got affected by Eclipso's powers. With this, he gained fame as one of the world's greatest explorers. Gradually, Gordon succumbed to his newfound glory and even contemplated suicide. But within him, Eclipso suggested him to kill his lost love, Nora's husband. Gordon was unwilling to take a life, letting Eclipso take the reins for carrying out the act. But in the process, Eclipso was able to take over the body completely. Eclipso made his first appearance when Cindy Berman, Dragon King's daughter, found the Black Diamond in the storage unit of William Zarek, a former member of the Injustice Society. In Season 2 of Stargirl, Eclipso appeared with a 10-year-old Bruce acting as its vessel. He terrorized Rebecca McNider by making her steal a doll from a birthday party.
I wonder what it is.
However, Bruce soon appeared behind her as he held the Black Diamond. This caused Rebecca to die. Later, when Eclipso took over Cindy Berman, it fed on the darkness within her and the lingering trauma of her mother's death to gain power. However, it was later defeated by Stargirl, the rest of the JSA, and an unusual alliance with several members of the ISA. As Stargirl used the light from the cosmic staff, she was able to counter Eclipso's darkness. As an entity of vengeance who often had a parasitic influence on its hosts, Eclipso consumed corrupted souls to gain power. He could detect their darkness within them and even hypnotize them to gain control over their minds. It also had the ability to make its victims see what it wanted them to witness instead of reality. Solomon Grundy. Solomon Grundy, or rather, Cyrus Gold, was a wealthy merchant in the 1800s. The mysterious man was brutally killed, but 50 years later, he reanimated as the undead Solomon Grundy. He then went on to join the Injustice Society of America. As a zombie, he was infamous for his uncontrollable temper. Despite losing his humanity and becoming more of a beast, Grundy was not devoid of emotions, as he had expressed his fear and loyalty to the Injustice Society. He fought against the Justice Society of America in Stargirl, quite naturally, even though he was not exactly smart enough to be evil. He also lived in captivity as ISA controlled him. As such, when Cindy came across him for the first time, he growled at her from his cell. Later, Pat Duggan, Courtney's stepfather, revealed to her that the Injustice Society used to control Grundy to do their bidding. Grundy was soon released during a battle against the JSA, but ultimately went running into the tunnels. In the second season, Rick Tyler our man from JSA learned of Grundy's whereabouts and secretly fed him. Later, Rick ended up having an emotional outburst in front of Grundy as he pondered over how he always gives out whatever he has and yet gets nothing in return. He ended up winning Grundy's affection, who offered him one of the apples Rick had given him. He also heard Rick out and patted his back to offer his support. When Rick succumbed to Eclipso's illusions and unknowingly assaulted his uncle, Grundy spotted the teen while he was being arrested. He was then shown to be quite concerned and even called Rick out as his friend. Due to Solomon Grundy being an undead supervillain, he could not die, so the strength of the opponent did not matter much to him. However, he still had superhuman strength, stamina, and invulnerability. He could also absorb certain types of energy and manipulate them, but this ability often got hindered due to the zombie's lack of intelligence. In certain incarnations, Grundy had shown strength equal to, if not more than that of Superman. Icicle. The founder and CEO of the American Dream, Jordan McKent, or Icicle, was a businessman with great vision for a better future. And for this, as the leader of the Injustice Society of America, he created Project New America, a project that would strip people of their free will as they would be under the Injustice Society's control. And for those who tried to run this idolized world, McKent sought them out as Icicle and killed them. Only after having a family did he start thinking about the greater good. However, he was a textbook Machiavellian and was okay with being behind the deaths of 25 million people, as he believed that the ends justified the means. The talented and beautiful artist Christine caught his attention when he was in London, and at that time, another man was pursuing her. So he ended up killing the suitor, or so implied. Later, they got married and had a son named Cameron, but his wife died a few years later from cancer. Cameron went on to become a student at the same school as Cindy's. Meanwhile, Christine's death fueled the fire within McKent to turn his dream of a false utopia into a reality. After he left Blue Valley, Nebraska, he passed down the mantle of leadership in the Injustice Society to William Zarek. Meanwhile, he observed how broken his country was. However, he was too full of hate to do something good, as a result of which he found an enemy in Stargirl. During their last encounter, Icicle tried to pin the cosmic staff around Stargirl's neck, but the energy emitted from the staff sent the both of them flying. Stargirl was soon saved by her ally, Wildcat, but no one came to Icicle's aid. He tried to summon a large ice blast, but was soon hit by Mike Duggan's SUV, which left nothing but shards of ice behind. As you can judge by the name alone, Icicle's specialty was cryogenesis. He could create attacks and shields with his ice, and his presence had the power to lower the temperature of the surrounding area via thermokinesis.
Is it yes or no question? Let me answer.
Dragon King. In the comics, Dragon King was a Japanese imperialist from World War II who used his weapons and powers to turn any threat to Japan into its loyal defender. He used to have an affiliation with a Japanese nationalist group called the Black Dragon Society. After fighting the JSA and the All-Star Squadron, he ironically settled in Blue Valley, USA. He trained his daughter Cindy into following in his footsteps as Shiv, while planning to enslave the minds of the people in America. However, he was later defeated by Stargirl and Stripe. In the Stargirl television show, he had the secret identity of Dr. Shiro Ito, who was infamous for being a Japanese war criminal. He had notoriously created biological and chemical weapons in the 1930s to spread a plague across China. Jordan McKent had an encounter with him in the ISA headquarters, where he acknowledged the Dragon King for believing in the ISA. As Jordan spoke out about his project of creating a new America, he extended a proposal to Dr. Ito to build the necessary machine for executing it. Dr. Ito agreed and took great pleasure in sacrificing the present generation for the so-called betterment of the next. Courtney's friend Beth later found a picture of Black Dragon in Cindy's room, but she soon learned that he was executed in 1947 for his war crimes, so it was strange for Cindy to have his picture in her room. When Pat Duggan learned of this, he suspected new trouble for the JSA. Dragon King treated his daughter terribly, locking her up in a cell, which she disobeyed him, despite her cries and protests. This came back to bite him later, when he had to engage the Shining Knight in an intense sword fight. However, despite gaining the upper hand, he was impaled from the back by his daughter Cindy, or Shiv. Dragon King had a reptilian physiology due to his constant self-experimentations and altered DNA. As a result, he had superhuman stats and increased longevity. He was also an exceptional scientist whose genius was necessary for turning Icicle's project New America into a reality. Brainwave, or Henry King Jr. made his comic debut in August 1983. His father was a supervillain who used the moniker of Brainwave while his mother had fought in World War II. He grew up uninfluenced by his father, but soon discovered that he possessed psychic abilities, which he tried to use as Brainwave Jr. to undo his father's evils. He later fought his father, who transferred his power and knowledge to his son while dying. The immense power took a toll on Brainwave Jr., making him insane enough to follow in his father's footsteps as Brainwave. Even in the Stargirl television series, Henry King Sr. plays a more pivotal role as Brainwave than his son. Sr.'s father was abusive and traumatized him at an early age. He later became a scientist who was never taken seriously. Soon he began to develop experiments on cerebral expansion, which would help people access their cerebral cortex better. But after the experiments were deemed to be too dangerous, he decided to proceed with them by testing them on himself. This allowed him to gain his psychic powers. With the ability to read the minds of people, he gained access into their dark thoughts and grew to despise humanity as a whole. He later became a part of the Injustice Society of America, where his powers would be used to affect the minds of people into doing the Injustice Society's bidding and creating a false utopia. He also became a talented neurosurgeon at the Blue Valley Medical Center to keep up a front. In the end, he was defeated by Stargirl's cosmic staff and fell into a coma. He was awoken by his son, Henry King Jr., who had finally gotten access to his own psychic abilities as a young adult. With Brainwave back in action, the ISA, whose project New America required to control the minds of the masses, finally kicked off their plans. Brainwave could read minds, manipulate the way people perceived reality, create illusions in their minds, and inflict pain using nothing but thoughts. He also had telekinetic powers and the ability to remove people's memories. The Wizard posed as the Blue Valley's councilman, William Zarek, in front of the public. Behind the scenes, he was a part of the Injustice Society of America. Despite being a powerful wizard, William ironically enjoyed stage magic enough to pass it down to his son. While in the Injustice Society, William had fought against the Justice Society of America in an epic, decade-old battle. He had even managed to incapacitate Hourman during their fight. However, the latter did not die. Following the battle, the ISA had begun to work on Project New America, which the Wizard was a part of. Around this time, William became a councilman to put up a face in society as a man who had a mundane life. He also married a woman named Denise and had a son named Joey. He was calm and seemingly normal, unlike most of the other villains who possessed darker character traits. He was not as menacing as the others in the ISA, and often did not care too much about the threat posed by Stargirl. However, if a foe threatened his family, he was more than willing to use his powers to harm them. And the one person who he cared about more than anyone else was his son Joey, which also led to his demise, but we will get to that in a short while. He had a bad relationship with the Dragon King, but the reason for this remains unknown. It could possibly be due to Japan and America being against each other in World War II, which meant that Dr. Ito was actively against America during the war. Unfortunately for him, his son Joey was killed. When William learned that the man responsible for Joey's death was Jordan McKent himself, Jordan ended up killing William. As a wizard, William had access to a magical wand that granted him his powers. With the wand, he could perform feats like projecting energy by creating and manipulating it. It was strong enough to make the likes of Icicle back away immediately after having the wand pointed at him. Sportsmaster. Sportsmaster, or Lawrence Crusher Croc, was a former star athlete. Even as a sportsman, he was willing to be brutal to secure a victory. Once he had permanently crippled an opponent, which got him banned, eventually he turned to a life of crime. He would often use sports equipment for his criminal antics, which may not sound as menacing as using magic or psychic powers. However, his main abilities lay in his fighting skills, which were lethal. The anti-heroine known as Tigress was his wife, and together they were known as Icicle's attack dogs. He fought in the iconic battle between the Injustice Society of America and the Justice Society. After the apparent disbandment of the ISA, he became the owner of the best gym in Blue Valley to put up a front as the ISA operated in secret. His villainous instincts came out during a football match where his daughter punched the opponent, which any normal parent would fret about. However, when the coach benched his daughter, Artemis, for foul play, both him and his wife Paula, or Tigress, were displeased. They later found the coach and killed him. They even went far to get their child recruited in the Injustice League of America, since that was the age demographic for the current JSA as well. After being a menace for the entire season, he was finally knocked unconscious by Stargirl in the last fight sequence. He went to prison in Season 2 for his other crimes, but soon managed to break out with Paula just to watch Artemis's football tryouts. After Artemis failed to make the cut, they broke back into their prisons. Villains can be quite dedicated parents. In the second season, after Eclipso broke free, Sportsmaster allied with the Justice Society of America, since they currently had a common enemy who was literally the embodiment of evil. Together, they defeated Eclipso, and Sportsmaster's family also tried to tone down on their villainous activities following the battle. Sportsmaster did not have superpowers, but his strength lay in his peak human condition, expertise in martial arts, and proficiency with weapons. Tigress's side of the story often overlapped with that of Sportsmaster, since the two were involved in a lot of things together. Naturally, she was a part of the ISA and found in the epic battle against the JSA on December 24, 2010. She also had an enmity with the superhero known as Wildcat, and the two fought each other on several occasions. She married Sportsmaster and settled in Blue Valley, Nebraska. She then became a gym coach at Blue Valley High School. As a gym coach, she was action-oriented and exercise enthusiast, to the point that she looked down on the other students who were not good with athletics. Her bloodthirsty nature seeped into her civilian front as she tended to get violent for trivial things. She was so violent that she was willing to kill her own teammate, Anya. However, she had a tremendous bond with her equally violent husband and loved her daughter, Artemis. After her involvement in killing her daughter Artemis's football coach with her husband and burying his body, it was soon revealed that it was the third coach whom the duo had killed within 2 seasons. Not long after, she went against Wildcat during a fight against the young JSA. However, after an intense battle with her and then against Stargirl, she managed to escape with Sportsmaster. It was also revealed that she was uncomfortable around Dragon King's presence, which made her sense of her distaste towards his daughter Cindy. Her loss against the JSA in the final battle of the season caused her and her husband to land up in jail. Later, Artemis broke them out of prison and the family helped the heroes in defeating Eclipso. In terms of ability, her physical condition was at its peak. She had great strength, agility, stamina, and reflexes. Her martial arts were better than her husband's, and she was also an expert markswoman.
Networks are his thing. Real dark web stuff. He's wanted for fraud, conspiracy, and murder.
The Gambler, or Steve Sharp, put up the front of being the CFO of the American Dream as he helped develop Blue Valley. This costume villain and expert hacker had lost to Starman during the battle in 2010. He was also the arch-nemesis of Dr. Midnight when he saw the new bespectacled superhero, that is Stargirl, who was able to defeat Brainwave. He was reminded of his former foe. Icicle then told him how they had killed Starman before, so now they just had to kill another. His job in the ISA was to hack a satellite that would allow Brainwave to start the process of mass mental reprogramming. As an egocentric person, he did not enjoy listening to other people's opinions unless they were coming from Icicle. He saw himself in high regard, while Dr. Midnight believed that the gambler lacked imagination, which made his program style easy to identify. That's now how you want your foe to see you, when you are an expert hacker. He was also greedy for money. The JSA exploited during their final confrontation against the ISA as Dr. Midnight drained him of his assets and made him go bankrupt. With this distraction, Steve shifted his focus from getting Brainwave to carrying out the procedure for Project New America. Just like several other of his teammates, Steve felt immense discomfort around the Dragon King or Dr. Ito. Despite having a cutthroat personality, the gambler was a softie for kittens. He was also wanted for fraud and murder in many countries, and as such, the JSA considered him to be one of the easier targets from the members of the ISA. Later, when the other villains helped the JSA defeat Eclipso, Steve was not present and thus did not get a second chance in leading a more regular life. He also wished to reunite with his long-lost daughter, Becky. He also searched for her using his laptop. He even got an alert, but the alert was not from Becky, and he soon was killed by Shiv. Steve did not have superpowers, but he compensated for it with his genius-level intellect, expertise at hacking, vast wealth reserves, and skilled marksmanship. The story and the premise of Stargirl has helped to create a tight-knit universe where every character is somehow connected to each other, mostly via Blue Valley High School. As such, the connected universe makes the villains greater threats than they would have been if they were just regular bad guys. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.
Slash sugar, slash sugar, slash sugar.